I'm Matt with Main Street Medina. Welcome to another edition of Medina Minute. We're going to sit down and talk with some familiar faces from around town and learn a little bit more about them. Good morning. Today we're here with Ed Wright of Miss Smiley's Tea Room and Gift Shop and Associated Businesses.
Correct.
How are you doing today, Ed?
Fantastic, Matt.
Good. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a long time coming, sitting down and having this conversation. You are chiefly responsible for bringing me to this community and getting me down here. But I have to ask you, how did you end up in Medina, Ohio? Because you didn't grow up here, correct?
No, my wife and I both grew up in Somerville, South Carolina.
All right. And
so
you just wanted to have some snow, right?
Well, we missed the snow, so we wanted. No, in reality, what happened is after going to college, majoring in ceramic engineering, I started in chemical engineering, and I had the wonderful opportunity of having dinner with the father of one of my classmates. Who was a vice president at Ferrell Corporation here in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
And he said to me, Ed, you seem like a nice young guy. Do you want to be a number, or do you want to be an individual that can make something of yourself? And I said, absolutely. What's the trick?
Right.
He said, go meet the head of the ceramic engineering department. He's a good close friend of mine. And I did that, and in 45 minutes, the guy talked me into switching majors.
Oh my gosh.
And so that,
wow.
That along with marrying the woman that I've been married to for 55 years, have really created the path that I followed.
So when you went home and said, honey, I want to move to Cleveland from South Carolina, what did she say?
Wow.
Your lovely wife is not a woman of many words unless she actually has something to say. She's quiet.
She's a highly intelligent, very hardworking, very friendly and congenial person who has put up with an awful lot in 55 years, and I give her a ton of credit for me running her from pillar to post. I mean, at one point we had an opportunity to move all the way up to Watertown, New York. You think the weather's bad here?
Can't even imagine.
So I turned that down because of her.
So did you move to Cleveland, or you moved to Medina and worked?
No, when I graduated from college, I wanted to get into research and development.
Okay.
I'm a guy that liked science, I'm a guy that liked math, and so that was my mission to start with. So it was amazing back in those days. I had 17 job offers after I graduated from college. And the one I picked was because I flew up to Pittsburgh, drove up to the research center, which was in Curwensville, Pennsylvania, a tiny little community close to State College. And when I went in there and I met the people that were working in the research center, I started thinking, well, this is a nice environment, nice people, but I wasn't that impressed. I went back to the airport, and the gentleman who was at that point the vice president of operations and the other gentleman that was the vice president of research and development met me at the airport. They were fantastic. And the guy that literally ended up being president of the company was the vice president of operation. He was my mentor all the way through. He was the guy that, I went into research. I was very successful. I patented a number of products, and was there 7.5 years, and literally I was given the opportunity to manage half of the research effort, or go into sales, or go into operations. And I guess they were sort of trying to, prepare me for something, I'm not sure what. But I said, I love research and development, but I'm going into sales.
So you moved to Pittsburgh to do sales.
At that point,
travel the world. You've been all over the place.
I've been all over the world. Fortunately, from Sales, I learned a lot in sales in Pittsburgh because I learned to deal with people who were the superintendent of a big mill and then the maintenance guys all the way down the shop. So I learned how to deal with all kind of levels of people and the importance of having respect no matter what level they worked.
Right.
So that sort of gave me the leverage when I was approached by the president of the company to come to corporate headquarters as assistant to the president.
Okay.
And so then, fortunately, I worked my way up through various vice president positions, ended up becoming president and CEO of the company.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So how did, president, CEO of the company, how did you end up owning a tea room in Medina, Ohio?
Long story, man.
We need, how about the Reader's Digest version?
Well, I'll sum it up.
Sum it up as best you can.
Yeah, that's what I told you. It's going to take more than 20 minutes. So,
May have to do a couple episodes.
To sum it up, we ended up with, the business was very successful when I was running it. We had the opportunity to buy the business from, at that point, Allied Signal, which ended up, now it's Honeywell. Allied ended up buying Honeywell and using the Honeywell name, but big corporation. We had the opportunity to buy the business. I partnered with a private equity group called Kirtland Capital, and we were very, very successful during that time period. And then we had allowed one European company, DDA Verka AG, who was the largest.
Say that again.
DDA Verka AG.
That's one whole name.
The German, yeah.
Okay.
You ought to know this German name.
I should know that. I wouldn't even.
It's actually a French name for a German company. So, so anyhow, they were the largest refractories company in the world. We were the largest refractories company at that point in America, North America, that I was running. So we ended up allowing them to come in at a 35% position. Pretty soon, the attorneys sort of messed that up because we were competitors.
Okay.
And so the attorneys wouldn't let them have a board member or anybody participating in any pricing or anything like that. So they finally came to us and said, look, we'd really like to buy the company. Either you buy it back, the 35%, or you sell us the company. So we ended up selling the company. I committed then to go on the board of DDA Verka for 5 years. I flew to Germany every 3 weeks for 5 years straight. Oh.
Wow. Because they didn't have Zoom meetings then.
No. Oh, right. So there were no Zoom meetings. There were airplane meetings. So,
wow.
So away I went. So anyhow, after 5 years, I said, guys, this has been wonderful, but I'm done.
I'm done.
And so I then jumped into working a lot of private equity with Kirtland Capital and with 2 other private equity groups, buying and selling big businesses.
Okay.
Big being 200 million or something up from there, not that big, yeah. We were, the corporation I ran.
It's all relative.
It's all relative,
That's
right.
pretty big to most people.
So anyway, so my wife, one day, Miss Molly's had moved into the space we're in today.
Okay.
It had been in another location for about 3.5 years. My wife went down to help a friend in the gift shop. She comes home and she says, hey, Ed, I hear that this business might be for sale. Would you be interested in looking at it? I said, I don't want to be in retail. I don't want to be in a restaurant business. So, but, a happy wife's a happy life, right?
Yes.
So I said, okay, I'll go look at it. So we went down there. I started looking at what was going on, and I said, the wheels start turning. And I'm saying, I might can franchise this thing and turn it into a huge business.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So we ended up buying it.
Yeah.
And then
that was how many years ago now?
We're in our 24th year now.
Wow.
So anyhow, to make a long story short, once we acquired it, we found out there were a lot of things that didn't really lend themselves to a franchise. Very complex business.
Sure.
And you couldn't get a franchisee to do all the things you have to do. So Dinah and I said, okay, we've got this business. We've been very fortunate in corporate life. We've been very fortunate in private equity. What are we going to do with it? And so we sort of, between the two of us, said, our vision here for this business is we want to create an environment where people feel like they're stepping out of the hustle and bustle of this crazy world we live in.
Yeah, yeah.
So we want to use this as a vehicle to give back to America, give back to the people of Medina.
Okay.
And so that's what we've been doing for these 24 years now.
So when you took over the space, did it have the same look that it has today? I know that you and Dinah have wonderful collections of beautiful things, and you've incorporated a lot of that into the restaurant.
Yeah.
Was it always like that, or was that part of your influence and your personalities?
It started out with a very lavish Victorian decoration, which we have toned down, honestly, quite a bit from where it was initially. So
I didn't realize that.
They had flowers and foo-foo hanging up everything to the extent that if you had to dust it all, it took an army. So in reality, we've progressed. I mean, we started out with a relatively small restaurant and a little tiny gift shop. And then each year I would try to get more space. I would try to add on. We'd try to expand until now, for now a number of years, we've had the entire floor, main floor.
Was the restaurant and the gift shop always in the space that it is now?
Yeah, but it was in the back.
Okay.
In the kitchen, I've expanded the kitchen, I've expanded the dining room, I've expanded the gift shop, we've expanded into Molly's Fashion Boutique, and we took on the toy store.
Right.
Bought that as tangible assets because I wanted the space at the front of the building more than anything else.
Sure.
Because initially we didn't have window space. So we were in the back of the building.
It's tough on retail.
And it's horrible on retail.
Yeah.
So I mean, we had no window space, no advertising. We were on the pylon in the front,
Okay.
And so I had to get to the front.
Yeah. So what, out of Miss Molly's, I know it's changed over the years, what is your favorite thing on the menu?
Probably the chicken divan.
Yeah? And then so that's your favorite to eat. What's your favorite to recommend? For what is Miss Molly's famous?
Well, we're really famous for two things. Number one, the chicken salad.
Yes.
Whether it's on puff pastry, whether it's just plain scoop in the plate, whether it's on a croissant, everybody loves Miss Molly's chicken salad.
Okay.
The other thing that is absolutely incredibly popular is the strawberry pretzel salad.
It is.
We have a recipe that's different than anything you're going to find on the internet. And literally, people have told me if we ever do a time capsule in Medina, Miss Molly's strawberry pretzel salad has to be in that time capsule.
And those are very protected recipes. I mean, that is...
Everybody working for me signs
sacred.
a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
And if they mess with any of that, I take legal action.
Absolutely.
I don't just get rid of them.
So you've traveled all over the world. You studied ceramics. You convinced your beautiful wife to move to Ohio. You run a tea room and a gift shop and a fashion boutique and a toy store. Do you ever have time to relax? Like, what hobbies do you have besides running yourself ragged with these wonderful businesses?
Well, very honestly, in today's climate where manpower is very difficult to come by,
yes,
we have very, very little time to relax and do anything. We have a house up on Lake Chautauqua in New York State. We used to, when we started into this business, we would go up every Thursday and come back every Tuesday during the summertime.
Oh, wow.
Now, if we get up there, we got up for the 4th of July weekend.
That was it.
That was it. So once we move on to other things, we'll regain that. We've had properties down on Keogh Island in South Carolina. We've got a lot of relatives in South Carolina.
Do you get down there very often, or you try to as much?
Well, we're less on that too. I mean, the pandemic has interfered with all of those things that were culturally normal. It used to be that we would have one of the properties we had on Keogh Island. We would have every Thanksgiving there. We would have 60 people come to Thanksgiving dinner.
Cool.
And so we sold that properly because I thought we'd already got as much out of the gain of the real estate value as we could. The guy I sold it to from Sweden doubled his money in the next 4 years. So
you lost on
so
that
another
one.
economic era.
So I know that of several things, you are a pretty serious collector, or you were at one point. I know that one thing that you love are clocks and the mechanisms. Do you think that traces back to your interest in engineering and how they work, or is it just the history and the beauty of the piece?
Well, it's the interest in how they work, the engineering in me, the desire to understand that.
Yeah.
But number two, it's the frustration I ran into in the little antique shop. Dinah and I were looking at antiques one day, and there was a little shelf clock there. And Dinah says, that's nice, let's get that. I said, okay. We took it up to the counter and paid for it, and the guy said to me, looked me in the eye, and he said, if you ever have any problem with this clock, you bring it back to me. Oh. Don't mess with the movement. Don't try to work on it yourself.
Yeah.
And my wheels are going, what do you think? So I immediately took it home, tore it apart completely.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Put it back together.
Did it still work?
Of course.
Okay.
And so that got me started. So I went from shelf clocks to bigger wall clocks to ultimately being focused on tall case clocks.
Yeah.
And so we've got a very extensive collection now.
Very, very
from all
cool.
over the world.
Yeah. I mean, you've done so much and you've had such a rich life. Do you have a dream trip that someday you and Dinah would love to take? Other than Chautauqua or just sitting down on your sofa and putting your feet up?
Matt, I traveled so much, and I took Dinah with me to Japan many times. I took her to South Africa. I took her to Germany, England, Ireland, Scotland, Switzerland.
So you're done.
We're not necessarily done, but I mean, our mission in life is not to travel now.
Yeah.
Our mission in life is to enjoy our family. I mean, we're very, very fortunate in that we have both of our daughters living in the area, close.
Sure. Yeah.
One of our grandkids has moved away at this point in time, but she's still only 2.5 hours away. So, people chase their kids and grandkids all over the world to be close to them. We're so blessed to have them here that we still have that family together. We get together for all kinds of things. And so that's one of the most important things to us, is to maintain that kind of family relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you've been in Medina going on 25 years, or you've had the business 25 years.
Right.
What do you love about this town? I mean, it's, compared to parts of your life, it's a small, quaint town, but you've obviously invested a lot of time and money and your personal life. Why? What is it about this town that makes it worth it to you?
Well, in a lot of ways, it has some similarity to the town that Dinah and I grew up in South Carolina.
Somerville?
Yeah, Somerville was a small town back then. When I grew up, there was 5,000 people.
That is small.
Now it's 80,000 or more. It's a suburb of Charleston.
Okay.
But I mean, it is a very historic home, because most of the old homes that were built there were built originally by plantation owners.
Okay.
And all of those homes now are $1 to $2 million if you can even get one.
Yikes.
But during the summertime, the plantations had a problem with mosquitoes and malaria, and so they needed somewhere to go away from the water, and Somerville was where they went. So it's a beautiful town with fabulous azaleas, many live oak trees, limbs hanging down, moss hanging down.
Yeah,
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Romantic.
Yeah. And so
we don't have moss. We have oak trees.
Right. Yeah. a little different, but the similarity is, the history of the buildings, the history of what went on. So when we saw Medina, it sort of had that attraction to us.
Okay.
I mean, we first moved up here. I literally, when I was still working in Pittsburgh, you know how I do things, Matt. Okay, I went and stayed on the east side, west side, north side, south side, and drove in with the traffic and tried to figure where I wanted to be, because I knew I needed to get to the airport. And so we ended up buying a little house in Brunswick. Only lived in that for a few years and then built another house. But the whole point of it was, we were trying to find somewhere in this area that meant something to us.
Sure.
More than Brunswick's a great town. It's booming. It's growing.
Yeah,
but
it really is.
The history is somewhat limited there. But here it's a different ballgame.
Okay.
And this is a wonderful community because of its history and the people.
At the end of the day, Ed, whatever your next chapter holds in life and whatever you end up doing, what do you hope is your legacy, either through your time in Medina, because besides being a business owner, you've been hugely involved in the community and the politics and development. What do you hope, at the end of the day, people say, ah, that Ed Wright, I remember him for not chicken salad. What do you think, or how do you think you've left your mark on this community?
I think in a lot of instances, Matt, it translates to the people that, we've been associated with, even like yourself. From the time we first interviewed you, I figured this is the guy I want on my team.
Lord, thank you.
I mean, very honestly, I learned in life very early that you need to, if you're going to be successful, you need to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are or know things you don't know. You can't know everything. Right?
Absolutely.
And so those people that we have worked with, I think are the ultimate thing that we're the most proud of, to see them grow and materialize. I mean, even with the restaurant, with the gift shop, with the fashion boutique, the toy store, the people are there for a very different reason than in the corporate life that I came from. I mean, they're in that corporate environment. There's two things they're interested in. How do I climb the ladder, and how do I make more money?
Sure.
Okay? You get into a small business like this, and a lot of our people are really focused on, they like people. They want to make people happy.
Yeah.
You
have to.
And
sure.
so they bust their buns. I mean, we are so thankful, so fortunate to have the people we have working for us. And so over my lifetime, in many instances, I've seen so many people grow and prosper because, I learned way back when that you got to have a family, you got to have teamwork.
Yeah.
And so if everybody feels they're part of that family and works together, you can be very successful, and people grow in their own stature. So
Sure.
to me, that's the single most important thing. What I want people of Medina to remember is that we did create that environment where you step out of the hustle and bustle of the crazy world.
Absolutely, yeah.
People literally come in there and they say, we don't know what it is. We feel different when we step through the door. It's almost a religious feeling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, that's important. That makes more importance to me than anything else.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, well, Ed, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I somehow have a feeling we're going to be doing this again, because I think there's a lot more to learn about you and to learn from you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. It's always a pleasure.